Am I the asshole for saying I don't see why I'd name my child after my stepmother when both her grandkids are? My stepmother has 3 kids, 32 male, 29 female and 24 female. My dad has me 26 female. They got married when I was 5 and her kids were 3, 8 and 11. My mom died 3 years into their marriage and I went from every other weekend to full time there. My stepmother started treating me the very same as her kids and started dropping the step. I never did. She's now a grandmother to 2 grandkids. Both are named after her. Granddaughter has her first name as a first name. Grandson has a male variant of her first name. I had my daughter a couple of weeks ago and named her after my mom and my husband's mom. The name caused quite the stir because my stepmother's name was not part of her name. I didn't engage at first, but then a couple of days ago I called into a Zoom session with my dad, stepmother and her kids where they asked why her name was excluded when she's named after both grandmothers. My response was I wanted to name her after my mom and my husband's mom, who is still alive, and that she, stepmother, already has both her grandkids named after her. She was very upset and left crying. My dad told me the way I say it makes it seem like she's not my little one's grandmother. Her 2 oldest were like, yeah. I said their mom was my little one's grandmother the same way my dad is their kid's grandfather. In that she is known as a step-grandparent. They said that was different and I told him it wasn't. My dad told me it was very different because his wife became my mom after my mom's death. So tell me, yalla, am I the asshole? Totally not the asshole. Name your kid what you want. It isn't a damn purity of love test. It's the kid's name. There's no rule forcing you to follow the convention that the other kid set, even if this was your natural-born mom, grandma, great-grandma or Dutch uncle. Damnation. People are way too petty. What? His wife became your mom after your mom's death. And he just decided that? Yeah, no, not the asshole at all. She's your mom if you say so, you decide who you view as your mom, this sit wrong with me. He nor his wife have any say in the child's name, and you have every right to name your daughter however you like. Not the asshole. A completely selfish and ridiculous reaction on the part of your stepmother. She has 2 legacies on her name. Why does she need a third? Not the asshole. You can name your child anything you want, she doesn't have a say in what you call your child. Most of her grandkids at the moment are named after her. What's the issue? Just because one isn't, she goes and has a tantrum. Also, just to add, you chose who you see as your mum or dad, not anyone else. Dad, stepfamily. Are you telling me that I'm not allowed to honor the woman who gave birth to me at all? Are you telling my husband that he can't honor his own mother? I need you all to take a step back and look at this from my point of view. I will expect an apology. The fact you think I shouldn't honor my birth mother is abhorrent, and if your mother had been the one to pass, how would you feel in my place? Until then, we are taking a break from communicating with you all in a direct fashion. Not the asshole. Wait, is she 5? She sure as hell is acting like it. And like a narcissist. Why the hell does her name need to be included? Why isn't your dad's name included in the other names? Why should her name be included anywhere? You are not the asshole, and good luck dealing with her in the future. My dad told me it was very different because his wife became my mom after my mom's death. No, she has always been your stepmother. Of course you want to honor and remember your real mother first and foremost. SM's arrogance and entitlement is astonishing. Not the asshole. So all her grandkids are all the same name. Makes for a very interesting Xmas with all the children running around being called the same name. That's Bay SH crazy territory. Call your child any name you want. And tell her to mind her own business. And know your example is exactly the same and you're right. Ask her now to her face if she wants to be a grandparent to this child or not. If not, and to be honest, your daughter won't be treated the same, you know where you stand. Not the asshole. If you were not present at the conception, you have no say in the name. Not the asshole. How many stepmoms out there expect their stepkids to name their children after them? I find this so bizarre. If I ever have a son, I don't think my stepdad would expect me to name him after him versus my late father. I think your logic makes sense. Your stepmom will have a role in your daughter's life, but it's unreasonable and unfair of her, and the rest of the family, to basically expect you to prioritize her feelings over your own in regards to honoring your mom. Also, like it or not, she is a step-grandparent. There's nothing wrong with that. She's just up in her feelings. Let her sort that out. You take care of you and baby. Not the asshole, it's your kid. Also you choose who you see as mom, not your dad. In what world does someone expect all the firstborns to be named after them in some way? Not the asshole. What a fucking high pedestal she, her daughters, and your father put her on. SMH. That they came after you for this makes me leery of them for what they may say and do in the future in terms of your kids. Not the asshole. I've said it before, and I'm sure I'll say it again. The penis isn't a magic wand that can magically change a child's parent just by putting it in a different woman. Not the asshole. You could have named your child Potato and even then, they would still have no right to be mad about it. Although that wouldn't be a very good name. Either way, I'm actually baffled how your family thinks that you should name your child after your stepmother, rather than your own mother and husband's mother. Bunch of crazies. Good luck. NTA. Tell your dad in particular, he's an AH for suggesting your mother is replaceable. Not the asshole. Jesus, how many kids does this egomaniac need named after her? Not the asshole. Just because your mom died, doesn't mean step wasn't a step anymore. Your mom was still your mom, and it is beautiful that you're honored your and your partner's mothers. First off, your dad's argument that his wife became your mom after your mom's death is wrong. He doesn't get to decide that and neither does she. I also cannot understand the arrogance of someone expecting their grandchildren to be named after them. Not the asshole. It is also your and your husband's decision to decide what name your child has. Hell no, not the asshole. Also your dad is being disgusting with the "my wife became your mom when your biomom died." That's BS. Your mom was your mom. Not the asshole. Why did you name your child that? Because we are their parents and that's what we decided. End scene. Not the asshole. Your stepmother is George Foreman. NTA. You have the kid, you get to name it. I think that you, understandably, have not gotten over the death of your birth mother at a young age. If there is even such a thing. I also think that your stepmom and your dad were pushing the whole "she's your mom now" thing a bit too hard. Stepmom already has 2 children named after her. Is she so egotistical that she wants all her grandchildren named after her? Not the asshole. And what kind of adult baby insists that a child be named after them? It's supposed to be an honor, not in order. Not the asshole. Why do all the grandchildren need to be named after the grandmother? What kind of ego does this woman have? You do not have to go along with this huge ego stroking, and this woman did not replace your mother. She especially is a huge asshole. Not the asshole with maybe a dose of esh. Of course you owe nobody your kid's name. But that's totally unrelated to you making sure she knew you don't see the woman who raised you from age 8 as a full grandma but rather a step-grandmother. It wouldn't hurt anyone if you said, "Of course you are my child's grandma and we are so grateful for that. But we don't think there are rules about who we name our kid after and we are sticking with the name we chose." When it comes to grandparents, the more the merrier, and there's no need to downgrade someone. Not the asshole. She sounds very selfish. Not the asshole. I am names after both my bio grandmothers. My first name is from my mom's mother who died when my mom was 2. My middle name is after my dad's mom who I was lucky to grow up close with. My mom always called her stepmother mom and I grew up calling her grandma. My grandma was never offended that she was not represented in my name. She even told me that I may be named after my bio grandma, but she was the lucky one who got to watch me grow up. Not the asshole. Imagine being so entitled that you expect every grandchild to be named after you and then throwing a tantrum if you don't get what you want. Your SM is being very selfish and manipulative. Your dad is just as bad for not supporting and defending you. Set firm boundaries with them. If they don't stop harassing you, go no contact. Congratulations on your baby. Not the asshole. This does my head in. She could have been the most amazing stepmother who you live so much, but you already have a mother. She died, but she will always be your mother. TBH, I don't get people naming their kids after their living family members. I love originality and uniqueness, but I totally get it to honor a loved one who has passed away. I don't get her obsession with needing to have grandkids named after her, and it's true her kids' names honor your father. They may still have a father, but yours raised them. Maybe just speak to her one-to-one without her kids and your dad abs. Explain how it's not a competition, that she raised you, but that will never take away the tragedy of you not being raised by your mother and you feel that so much having your own baby. Not the asshole. Humor your step-mum. Get a pet. Then name it with her name. Problem solved. Not the asshole. She is being ridiculous. She is not your mother in your eyes, which is all that matters. Also, she gets to meet your child, which your mom will not be able to do, but it's a problem to honor your mom's memory. Absolutely disgusting, and honestly your dad is even worse. Not the asshole. Do not say scutire about the role that OP's stepmother has in his life. It just has to be said that only parents have the right to decide how to name their children. Why in the accursed hell is your stepmother expecting 100% of her grandchildren to be named after her? Not only is that outrageously self-involved, making the birth of your baby about herself somehow, but also, does she seriously want all of her grandchildren named after her? That's impractical to the point of being hilarious. My name is Paula, my brother is Paul, and I have 5 cousins also named Paula and Paul. Not the asshole, and I don't think I even need to mention how messed up it is that she feels personally attacked by your attempt to honor your own birth mother. Not the asshole. I would simply tell your dad and stepmom that this is the last conversation you are having regarding this situation because they are taking a happy occasion and ruining it. But I'm sure that your mother, who you named your baby after, would way rather be alive to play and meet the baby and be an actual grandma than just bring a namesake, so your stepmom should think about that. Not the asshole. Yikes, so everyone is supposed to make their kids after this woman. Does she need a little army or something? That's bonkers and honestly creepy. Not the asshole. You named your child in memory of your actual mother, who you remember. She needs to get over herself. Not the asshole. It's your kid, you get to name it, those are the only rules. But are any of them naming their sons after your dad? The entitlement your stepmother has is very, very smelly woozy face. Not the asshole. It's your kid and you decide what you name it. It's nobody else's decision. Also, how many kids does she expect to be named after her? Do all the kids need to be named after her for her to be satisfied? I would go off on someone if they pulled this with me. Your child's name is important and shouldn't just be named after someone because they want it to be. Not the asshole. How many children does her ego require are named after her? Not the asshole. That is some egotistical thinking on your stepmother's part to assume every grandchild will have her name included. It's clear that she did her best to not treat you different than her children after your mother died, but it does not mean you have to accept her over your mother. If they are too far up their own poop chutes to realize the self-centered attitudes they have, then maybe a diet of low contact for a little while will help. NTA. Wow. NTA. Only parents get a vote in naming their children. Period. It's a mistake to explain further. Ugh, that last line from your dad made me mad for you. The nerve of all of these people, trying to erase your mother like that. No wonder you never dropped that step. Not the asshole, and congratulations. Not the asshole. You name your child how you want. Despite her mothering, she's not your bio-mom, and won't ever be. What is it with these parents forcing their new significant other onto their child? And the audacity of these step-parents demanding they be accepted as a new parent, especially when one of the child's real parents are deceased and they are trying to fill that role. It does not take a rocket scientist to see that this will cause resentment. Also, this woman is ridiculous. Let me ask you this, if your step-siblings have male children, are they expected to name them after your father? And if the answer is no, because their father is still alive, this is even more ridiculous. What, because their parent is still alive your dad is just a step-parent, but because your mother passed you need a replacement? The logic here is ridiculous. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your stepmother get a relationship with your child and not your mother, and your husband gets a say in his child name too. Like you wrote 2 of her grandkids are named after 2, wouldn't another girl named the same name be confusing for the kids when they're in the same room? Not the asshole. You have a mother you want to honor, and that is your right. You and your husband don't owe her a name. Separately, is it strange to have all 4 cousins named the same name? Like Rose Ann, Rose June, Rose Ella, Rose Catherine. Not the asshole. Dad, my mom might have died and stepmom did step up, but that doesn't mean that my mom doesn't exist in my heart. I wanted to honor my deceased mother and I have. Discussion is now and forever over on this subject.